Most of us want to be financially free at some point in life. Many of us have also been actively saving and investing towards this pursuit. But unfortunately, not many of us are sure of our financial freedom number. That means how much to accumulate so that we can really call ourselves financially free. Of course, the concept of financial freedom itself is quite subjective, and what it means for you may not mean so for another person. Still, broadly, many of us would like to agree that it is about accumulating enough so you no longer have to work for money. You can still decide to work, but not for money, and money becomes a byproduct rather than the core pursuit. So, how can you calculate your financial freedom number? Well, that's what we will be discussing in today's video. Hello and welcome to ET Money's YouTube channel. If financial freedom is a top priority for you, this video will be very important. So watch it till the end. And even if financial freedom is not on your priority list, it will still be a good exercise to understand where you stand regarding it. Now this video belongs to our playlist on financial and retirement planning. If you want to watch more such videos, explore the playlist. The link is in the description. Okay, let's take a look at the first approach to calculating your financial freedom number. But before we do that, there is something important you should be aware of. We've encountered fake accounts and groups impersonating ET Money on WhatsApp, Twitter, and other social media platforms to mislead people. You can see a few screenshots of these fake groups on your screen right now. If you ever come across any suspicious group or activity, please report it immediately to the email ID shown on your screen now. And for your safety, we've added links to all our official and verified handles in the description below. Alright, now back to the video. The 25 times rule is a rule of thumb to calculate your financial freedom number. It says that you must accumulate 25 times your estimated annual retirement expenses to be financially free. Let's say you are 30 years old and you currently spend about 6 lakh rupees per annum. You would want to be financially free at say 40 years of age. At an inflation rate of 6%, your annual expenses will be then 10.75 lakh. Multiply by 25, your financial freedom number should be 2.69 crore. Simple, right? But as I said, the 25 times rule is a rule of thumb rather than a foolproof approach. It's actually derived from the inversion of the popular 4% rule. Now the 4% rule says that if you withdraw 4% of your retirement corpus every year, adjusted for inflation, your retirement corpus should last through your golden years. However, the 4% rule is based on certain assumptions. It was formulated by William P. Benjamin in 1994, and in the US context, the rule assumes a 30-year retirement period, a 3% inflation rate, and a return on the retirement corpus of about 7 to 8%. Now, the retirement corpus is deemed to have been invested 50-50 in equities and treasury bonds, and there is no adjustment for taxes or fees. So, the problems with the 25 times or the 4% rule are quite clear. It's not based on the Indian context. Even in the US context, it's quite dated now. Now, for someone who wants to retire in their 40s or 50s, the retirement period can be over 30 years. In such cases, a 25x corpus may not be sufficient. The inflation rate in India has been around 6 to 7% or even higher. The expected returns could be higher, but taxes and fees can take away their fair share. All in all, while the 25 times or the 4% rule is quite convenient for determining your financial freedom number, it may not be very accurate. Still, go ahead and calculate yours. It will still give you a good idea. Now, you can even consider 33 times or 50 times your annual retirement expenses to compensate for this approach's inherent shortcomings. Okay, so this brings us to the next approach to know your financial freedom number. But before that, here is something important. You can now get cash to enjoy your present while staying invested for your future with loans against mutual funds on the ET Money app. The interest rate is 10.75% and there is no fixed EMI. Pay monthly interest and repay the principal amount whenever it is convenient for you. Plus, there is no need for a CIBIL score as well. But wait, there is more. A special offer is currently live, and if you set up your LMF account during this period, you will just pay 9.99% per annum for the first 3 months. So go ahead, Check your eligible limit on the ET-Money app. This is the approach you find in the retirement planning calculators available online. You fill in the numbers and the calculator throws you a number. So yes, you can use your online retirement calculator to figure out your freedom number. But if we take it one step ahead and try to design our own custom calculator, that can be even more insightful. So let's give it a shot. To use the calculator approach to know your financial freedom number, you need to provide some data such as your current age, the age at which you want to be financially free, your current savings, expected returns, expected rate of inflation, and so on. Now, online calculators have complete formulas working behind them. So, for many of us, it wouldn't be possible to easily replicate such a calculator. So, let's take the help of AI and design a custom calculator. Now, to design my custom calculator, I gave this prompt to AI. I used Perplexity, so the screenshot you see are from there. Now I refined my prompt and told AI exactly what inputs I wanted in the calculator. I then requested how to carry out the steps suggested in Excel, and the AI gave me specific steps which I replicated in the Excel spreadsheet. It told me what formulas I must put in various cells to design my own financial freedom calculator. The table on your screen is a snapshot of the output from this custom freedom calculator. The values I inserted through a freedom number of 2.52 crore. Now, as per the sample entries, by the freedom age, I will have about 3.64 crore. So it will be a surplus. That's great news. Of course, you must also factor in margin of safety. So you can add another 25% to the freedom number generated by your calculator. But do remember that AI is AI. So you must cross-check the freedom number from other sources or ask AI to recheck its own calculator. Since it's an interactive calculator, you can experiment with the inputs and generate multiple scenarios for your freedom number. Do try it out. I'm sure you will enjoy the experience. However, like the 25 times rule, the calculator approach has its own limitations. True, it is comparatively more reliable than the 25 times rule, but it still doesn't consider life's complexity and the changes it undergoes over time. It just extrapolates the current variables into the future based on an average inflation figure and helps you arrive at a freedom number, assuming that everything goes as per estimates. But as you know, that will likely not be the case. Life doesn't move in a linear fashion but in phases, each with its own demands. So, to arrive at a more robust financial freedom number, we must consider that. And this brings us to the third approach to estimate your freedom number. But before that, do subscribe to this channel if you aren't already a subscriber. And don't forget to press the bell icon so you never miss a video from us. The advanced approach we will discuss now takes care of the downsides of the previous two approaches. That makes it even more reliable. However, it may not be easy to understand instantly, so bear with me and watch this part of the video again if necessary. Let's start this approach in a step-by-step manner. First, calculate all your regular expenditures in the previous year along with the amount spent on them. For instance, the table on your screen shows such expenditures. Second, assign a growth number to them, if applicable. The growth number means how much you expect your expenses to rise yearly. This growth number doesn't automatically mean the rate of inflation. Rather, it's your own estimate of the rise in these expenditures if applicable. You can also set this growth number equal to the rate of inflation. However, as inflation differs for different items, it's better to use a realistic growth rate than the reported average. Doing so will make your financial freedom number more robust. See the table on your screen now, where these growth rates and the tenure of the expenditures are mentioned. Third, figure out the foreseeable expenditures and when they are expected to occur. Again, your screen are some non-current expenditure items along with when they will likely occur. Fourth, as per your life expectancy, chart out these expenditures for every year. For instance, if your estimated life expectancy is 85 years, chart out these expenses for each year until 85 years. Keep increasing the amount of your regular expenditures as per the estimated growth rate and tenure. Also, when the time for planned expenditures come, insert them as well. You will either adjust them for inflation or inflate them by any other number that you find appropriate. Now to do so, you will use the future value formula in Excel. If you aren't aware of it, you can ask AI or Google it. In the table on your screen, you can see how the expenditures change in the initial period based on the growth rates. Also, note that at 45 years, the planned expenditure for children's higher education comes up. The amount is no longer the estimated 1 crore but 1.34 crore based on inflation rate of 6%. Now, when the tenure of certain expenditure is over, set those to zero. For instance, by the time age 81 is reached, as many as 5 expenditure items have turned zero as per the tenure of those expenditures that we saw a little while ago. Fifth, add up the expenditure amounts for each year. Also, add a margin of safety to each year's corpus. It could be a flat percentage as required. For instance, let's consider it to be 15% of the estimated expenditure. Then, add the estimated expenditure and the buffer amount to arrive at the final amount for each year. Now, if you add up all the amounts over the year, that's the total expenditure you will incur. In our case, it comes out to be 53.42 crore. But don't be intimidated by this enormous amount. First, it's based on our assigned growth rates, and second, we haven't yet considered the return generated on your savings. Sixth, enter your starting capital or your current savings. Then enter the estimated post-tax return. We have considered these to be 1 crore and 8% respectively. Next, find out the return amount for each year by multiplying the return percentage by the ending corpus. The ending corpus is the previous year's corpus plus the return earned during the year minus the expenditures for the year, including the buffer. Do this for all the years until 85 years. Seventh, now use the goal seek function of Microsoft Excel. You will find it under the data tab and in the what if analysis dropdown. The goal seek function requires 3 attributes: set cell, to value, and by changing cell. For set cell, select the very last cell of the ending corpus, the one under 85 years. Enter to value as 0. And in by changing cell, enter the starting corpus or select the cell with your starting corpus. Essentially, what you are doing is that you are asking Excel what the actual starting corpus should be that will be able to last until 85 years given the estimated expenditures. You are also telling Excel that at 85 years or until whenever you are expected to live, your accumulated corpus should turn 0. When you do so, Excel will automatically change the numbers of your starting corpus, and the number that appears there will be your financial freedom number. In our case, it came out to be about 7.82 crores. So, you don't need 53 crores but about 8 crores to be financially free. Graphically, the trajectory of your ending corpus will look like this over the years. The intermittent drops you see during this rising phase are due to the planned expenditures. Overall, this advanced approach gives you a much more reliable number as it considers a very realistic scenario that includes both regular and planned or non-current expenditures. You can also decide the expenditure's growth rate rather than just the inflation rate. But admittedly, this method is also complex, so be patient and take time to understand it. Once you grasp it, you can seamlessly apply it. However, if you still find it too difficult, use the other 2 methods discussed in this video to arrive at your financial freedom number. But whichever method you use, do incorporate a reasonable buffer or a margin of safety. The more conservative you are with your freedom number, the better, as there can be multiple unknowns and surprises down the road. And with this, I have come to the end of this video. I hope you found it useful, and if you did, please share it with your friends and family. I'll be back soon with another video. Till then, take care.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.